Welcome, everyone, to the Next Perfect Step. I'm your co-host, Lori Mullen.
And I'm Lori Tremblay. Welcome to our today's episode of the Next Perfect Step. We have a very special guest, our friend Dina Farrell of the Old Ways at Mustard Seed Farm here in my area in Center Tucton Borough. And we're excited to have her in her shop because she's an herbalist and she teaches classes and just has a beautiful, beautiful farm overlooking the mountains. And it's just what she's done with her herbs is just beautiful. So Lori and I met in an introductory herbal class at Greenwich School of Herbalism. So that's how we met Dina about 8 years ago. And we do some herbal things, but I've learned so much from some of your workshops, and I feel like I'm a beginner for sure, but it's just the world of herbs is just amazing. And it's like, I feel that it's a lost art that's coming, that you're bringing back, like you said, the old ways. So how did you get started with your love for herbs and your passion for herbs?
Well, first off, thank you for the lovely introduction. Oh gosh, I guess I got started really with my grandmother. So I was very young. She had extensive gardens, and even more so, she spoke to me about her mother, who I never had the chance to meet, who was known as a healer. She worked with an Indian woman up in Canada, and they had many recipes and did many wonderful things with herbs. Unfortunately, a lot of the recipes were destroyed at that point in time. They actually considered it witchcraft. They were very, very Catholic up in Canada. And so she was allowed to work with her Indian friend and did many good things. But when she died, my great-grandfather actually destroyed all her recipes. So all I know is what my grandmother told me, which consists of a lot of amazing stories. So yeah, initially that was the inspiration. So I've always been around plants and herbs and animals as well. And really, I started out as a farmer, full on homesteading, cows, turkeys, pigs, vegetables, herbs, dairy. And in the last 12 years or so, I downsized to just dealing with the herbs. I still have my pet horse and pony, but I focus completely on the herbs now.
Mm-hmm. Do you grow things from seed, your own seeds?
I grow a lot from seed. I bring in a lot of plants that have already been started. I seek out other farmers because a lot of these old farms in New England, they already have established herbs, which are the best ones to get. And the most wonderful thing about herbs is they multiply. They just keep growing, and you can forget about them for 100 years and they'll be there. So they're very easy to grow. They're very easy to use. It's just doing your research and learning what they're all about.
How did you, I know I was watching the progress of your beautiful store you're to carry. How did that come about? It sounds like it was
well, for years I did farmers markets and other events, because I had been making herbal products for some time. And it just got to a point where actually it was an inspiration from a friend of mine. We're sitting having tea in the garden, and she says, I just envisioned this cute little shop, and it was something I had always thought about. And then I don't know, it just came to be. Really, everything fell into place. A local organization, Wedco, helped me considerably with financing and promoting. And so the shop's been here 3 years now, and we've actually added another room to the shop. So it's doing well. It gives me the opportunity to be home in the gardens all day because the shop's right here on the farm, and work with people and do all the things I love to do.
beautiful.
Great. What are some of your favorite herbs?
I have a lot of favorites, and it probably changes from maybe week to week. Right now, I think Anise hyssop is one of my favorites, only because I'm harvesting it right now, and it's just so abundant, and it's so fragrant and so tasty. I'm actually drinking a anise, hyssop, and tulsi tea right now. So, but gosh, like I said, I have so many favorites. I think lavender initially has always been my favorite. But some of the odder herbs like angelica is something I really enjoy. Comfrey, they all have different properties, and like I said, at different times, depending what I need, they become my favorites.
Mhm.
Do you run classes and teach about the herbs and the way
In
to
in the
use them?
past, I would do like a 1 day class here and there, and never really got into it. But just recently, actually, just July last month, I started a full series of classes that run 4 days. 1 day a week, 2 hours each class, and so I did it all through the month of July. Now into August, and pretty much it's really the basics, even though it's 8 hours of classes, and they've been going just very well.
Awesome.
I went to one of
Great.
your workshops, and you had this beautiful big table set up, and quite a few women were there. It was just an afternoon, and you made tea. And I remember I think you made anesthesia cookies.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and that was so good. But that was just felt like such a nice community of women at that afternoon, and you were so warm and welcoming, and just being around the herbs and talking about them was
Well,
was a real.
that's one of the yes, it's one of the wonderful perks is that it brings people together because there's so many people who are a longing for this lost knowledge. It seems to have just kind of disappeared in the last few generations, and it definitely brings women together. I think especially people that are kind of disenchanted with the medical system because the herbs have so many benefits.
I agree with that. You're right. I think people are
Mhm.
disenchanted with the medical system. Right. I think I interrupted you a little while ago. Did you
Oh
have
no,
a
that's
I
okay.
know
I
it's
was
it's
just gonna
hard. I
ask
think
it.
we have a hesitation here between my slow internet.
Oh, that's okay. You're up in the mountains.
I was just gonna ask if a beginner wanted to start their own herb garden, what were the easiest and best way somebody could start their own herb garden? Like what would you suggest for herbs for somebody to start?
To start, I would say go with the very basic herbs that everybody knows, like basil. Basil's a wonderful herb. It has a lot of fragrance, a lot of flavor, and it also has a lot of medicinal benefits. The parsleys, thyme, sage. Um, the nice thing is they grow so well. Basils, sometimes parsleys, they don't come back, but as a rule, most herbs come back every year. So that's another added benefit.
And they're good in, food is medicine sometimes, right? So some of those help,
Exactly.
or you can put them in soups. I like to put sometimes nettle, like dried
Mm.
nettle in soup. You can just put lots of things in your food.
Yes, nettles is another one of my favorites, just because the anti-inflammation aspect of it, and it grows so abundantly wild. I mean, you can just go out into the fields, and I get a lot of my herbs just by wild crafting, nettles, yarrow, plantain. They're also beneficial, and a lot of people don't think of herbs as food, but herbs are food, just like fruits and vegetables, and we really need to get back to utilizing them as food. And like you said, Hippocrates had quoted that let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food.
Right. You remember any of I'm sure you remember some of the stories that your grandmother told you about what she learned that
Well,
interested you?
yeah, one of the most interesting ones that I've never been able to figure out, and it's not so much about herbs, but they had typhoid fever. I believe it was typhoid. And someone came to her, his wife was very ill, and she told him to take a beetle specifically from a sheep, and put it in jam and feed it to her. And to this day, I have no clue what that was, but it cured the woman. Um, yeah, it troubles me that I've never been able to figure that one out. But
Amazing.
yeah, and another a simple one. she would mix honey and apple cider vinegar and make a tea. And she would do that once a week. And it's just a wonderful blood purifier. It boosts the immune system, antioxidants. And as far as herbs, gosh, she would, my cousins would all gather at her house as well. And we'd go out in the lawn and she'd pick sheep sorrel and she'd just say, here, eat this, you know, and she'd give us a mouthful of sheep sorrel. And it was actually very good. It was very, very sour. She didn't always tell us what they were for, though. She would just, here, eat this.
It's great. So it made an impression on you, I'm sure.
It did, yes.
So, I know plantain is good for, you can make a poultice kind of, or put it on your skin for bugs and bites and things like that.
Right, and it's also edible. It's almost like a spinach, you know, when the leaves are very young and tender. I use plantain in a salve along with a lot of other herbs that I make. That's a very nice healing salve.
I'm so glad that you teach and, talk about the herbs, because I think like your grandmother, that there was a time where it was gotten rid of and it's not been
Yes.
passed down. And it's wonderful to see the knowledge being passed down again. you know. I think a lot of us are embracing it, and I think it's beautiful. And I'm glad that we get to share in that knowledge, because people were afraid to share it at some points, and so
Right.
yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Well, I believe it actually happened in the 1930s. The medical industry started having a lot more medical schools, and for some reason, they eliminated herbal teachings. They actually wouldn't accredit any medical institutions if they taught about herbs. And I'm not exactly sure why, but that's when everything fell away. People would just stop using the herbs. We're depending more on pills. But now, yeah, they're coming back around. They're realizing that there's a lot to it, and not to discredit modern medicine, but there really needs to be a combination of the both.
I think that, I know what you were talking about. That they closed down like a lot of the homeopathic schools, and they said the herbs because they wanted to focus on the pharmaceuticals.
Exactly, yes.
And the money, and that's the way it is now too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not always what's most beneficial for the public. It's what's more financially supporting the corporation, sadly. But it's nice that people can take things into their own hands, and it's empowering, and people really should start utilizing herbs more. They'll feel better for it.
Absolutely. And I think it's a better way of connecting with our own bodies, listening to our own bodies, right? When we work in that type, we're listening to our own body, we're taking nature in and listening to how it reacts and feels in our bodies, where a lot of the medicine, the pills we take numb our bodies, right? It numbs the
Right.
pain, and you don't get to listen to your body. We haven't been taught to listen to our own bodies, and what our own bodies can teach us. So I mean, I think that's an extra benefit of.
It is, and it's interesting. I mean, if you really take the time, be quiet, you'll find that you're being drawn to certain herbs. If you take the plants and you just breathe them in, breathe in the fragrance, you know, they just the fragrance alone will affect you, and you'll feel a desire, you know, to be closer to certain herbs, and those are the herbs that your body's most needs.
What kinds of things do you make in your shop, Dina?
Oh gosh, I make everything from insect repellents, lip balms, body oils, to anti-inflammatory powders that can be added to your coffee. I do a lot of teas, a lot of different teas. Um, just plain fragrances, cleansers. I mean, it's kind of endless, really. I have a lot of standard products that I make, but then I make special things for people too.
I've I've enjoyed your products as well, and
Well, thank
I like
you.
Yeah, and I like to come and see your garden. But if someone isn't in your area, would you be able to send them something from your website?
I do have a website. Again, I'm not very good with the internet or social media, but I try. So if my products aren't on there, because not all of my products are on the website, it is a way to contact me. And our shop is open Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 4, from April till Christmas. And I welcome phone calls, emails, with questions. I love to give free garden tours. I like being around people. I like to share my peace and serenity with them. I'm proud that I've created a place that is very peaceful. I have not only all the gardens, but I have my ponies, and people are welcome to come and visit with them.
Do you have anything that you'd like to add to talk about
Um,
the your shop or?
oh, there's really so much.
Yeah.
um, Yeah, the old ways is all about embracing the the ageless knowledge and timeless traditions of health and being healthy and nature and beauty. And it's just getting back to nature. It's something I think so many people need to do. Life is so busy and so stressful, and everything we need is right here, even sometimes just out in our front yards, just having a cup of tea with beneficial herbs can help with so many different things, with allergies, with inflammation, again, which is such a big issue these days, with stress, and even with some more serious diseases, really. And not only do I sell herbal products in my shop, but it's open to local artisans. So I have a lot of jewelry and soaps and artwork and crafts that I think people really like.
You've hosted some events with the vendors, your Christmas. Sometimes you have the vendors come in, and that's always so nice. And just to see or visit your shop and then come and see the vendors as well and your farm. So it's always something I look forward to.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I did so many years of going to farmers markets and different events, and I met so many wonderful artistic people. So I love to, open things up for them if they're not already selling in my shop. When I have events, it gives them an opportunity to have a table and sell their wares. And it's
Yeah,
um it's great networking. It's great to help the community.
absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll put your website down below for people to be able to check out your website and your beautiful shop.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate having you on with us this morning and look forward to coming back to your shop. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And then if you have anything else just to add, please feel free.
I mean, I could talk about any specific herb for quite some time, but for the ones just beginning, I mean, you can even get herbs at the grocery store, but I recommend going to your local farmers. Find some herbs that just appeal to you. If they appeal to you, it's probably for a reason. Use them. A lot of people don't realize that you don't have to dry herbs to use them. They're actually better to be used fresh. The reason why we dry them is to preserve them so that we can use them later. But yeah, use fresh herbs. Throw it in everything you eat. Make teas. Um, Soak them in olive oil and vinegar, and use those flavored things, to cook with. It's endless.
It's true. Well, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. It's the first time I've ever had the opportunity to be online, so it was very nice.
Okay.
And until next time, how is your intuition leading you to the next perfect step?